issues last week.
Alrighty, welcome back, folks, to another episode of the 406 Budcast.
This time with no technical issues.
Yes, we will be right back after this.
Knocking on all kinds of wood after that.
Yeah. Roll it up, line it up, listen up now. It's the 406 Budcast, gonna show you how cannabis culture, grow big strong. Hear the latest trends, you can't go wrong. Tune in today, knowledge on blast. #1 podcast, it's the 406 Budcast. From strength to gains, they break it all down. Passion and hustle, wear the green crown. Industry insights right in your ears. Growing green dreams, no need for fears. Tune in today, knowledge on blast. #1 podcast, it's the 406 Budcast. Yeah. Cannabis culture, grow big strong. Hear the latest trends, you can't go wrong. Tune in today, knowledge on blast. #1 podcast, it's the 406 Budcast. From strengths to gains, we break it all down. Passion and hustle, wear the green crown. Industry insights right in your ears. Growing green dreams, no need for fears. Tune in today, knowledge on blast. #1 podcast, it's the 406 Budcast.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to another wonderful episode of the 406 Budcast. If you are curious, we do have a little Easter egg somewhere in the episode today. Bonus points if you spot that and comment it somewhere. Besides that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our special guest today, Holly. She is the owner of Sego Lily Skincare, and we will get into the finer details of that in just a moment. But let's introduce everyone else in the meantime. Across the table here, I've got Nate, and next to him, I have Hannah and Tanaki and Charlie the dog down there on the floor. We've got Two Socks. I'm sure he will jump up here sooner or later. And behind the desk, we have Michelle. We still do not have that camera fixed, but we will get it worked out.
You'll see Michelle's face.
Yes.
Again.
Well, Holly, would you like to take a second just to introduce yourself? You know, where are you from? What do you do? Who are you?
Yeah, I'm great. So I am a Montana through and through.
Yeah.
Born and raised in the Paradise Valley, south of Livingston, on a dairy, actually.
Nice.
And went to MSU. Go Cats!
Yes, I was gonna say.
There's two in the room.
Yeah, QB right now.
Oh, that's a fact.
So technically, Daniel went to MSUB.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think
Haven't finished
I
yet.
didn't the Lady Cats beat the Lady Grizz yesterday in basketball. I
Oh,
believe.
probably, because we're just so much better.
We don't even have to watch the game. It's just not.
No, so actually, surprisingly, I did not meet my husband in college, but we were literally the same friend group, and I probably wouldn't have married if we would have met at school because he was just a crazy man. But
Pretty usual.
I graduated. He did not. We met in Great Falls, actually, and they had a family ranch up by Valier, and they'd been up there for 100 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And I did odd jobs. So when you live in a town of 400 people, you kind of have to create your own job.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when I got there, within 3 months of being married, I bought the local newspaper. And when I say local newspaper, it was like a weekly. I did the sports reporting, the photography, the ad buys. I created the ads, wrote the articles.
Man.
I was like a one-man show.
Darn.
So I did that
That's
for
awesome.
4 years and then sold it and started a screen printing and embroidery business in Valier and did that for 17 years. But probably the coolest thing is I renovated a 1900. It was built in the 1900s bank building.
Nice.
And I still have the safes in it. And so my dressing room was in the safe. And
My wife
Damn.
was a bank manager as one of her prior passions in life. So that is probably
That's
very
so
cool.
I
Yeah.
was with Valley Federal Credit Union, well, Valley Financial now, but their branch in Columbus still had the big old safe,
Oh, yeah.
the old teller line. Oh, I
Yep.
love that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
so that was my baby. And that was really hard to sell. But
Yeah.
Yeah, got Cynthia in the chat just real quick. Say hi to everyone. Quick shout outs. I know we've got a few people out
Joe, what
there.
up?
Make sure you all like, share, and subscribe. All that. We'll get that out of the way. Also, our friendly disclaimers. This show is for education purposes. Blah blah blah. We're all opinions, etc. Also, hi Cynthia, it's nice to see you. Welcome back to the chat. Yep. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to totally derail us, but it was a nice little opportunity to say hi. That's extremely cool. I find that you've done quite a bit. In fact, beyond that, you guys also do. You are now into the ranching stuff.
So
quite a bit.
Well, yeah. So never left that part of my life. From the dairy, then my husband's farm and ranch. We had 300 head of cattle and farmed about 2,000 acres. Ooh. And we just recently sold to the Blackfeet tribe.
Oh, okay.
And purchased down here in Billings. And so that was a 3-generational agreement. There was my mother-in-law, my husband and myself, and then my children.
Wow.
And I have 2 boys that want to come home. I have another daughter who's in Colorado. So it had to be all of our decisions to make that move.
Yeah.
And we were all on board, and yeah, so it's been really good.
You know, I have a hard time saying that's necessarily a bad thing to sell it to. I've seen so many other places get sold to. I'll be that guy who says the out-of-staters, all of that stuff. So I can't. Selling it to a local reservation is like the best possible outcome.
Farmers or corporate big corporate farms that are starting to come into Montana. I mean, rather see it go back to the tribe that'll do something with it. Hopefully, and
that's
do
cool.
some preservation.
Yeah, what a happy ending to that story, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's very cool. Congratulations on all of that.
Yeah.
So you kind of grew up in the Paradise Valley, south of Livingston. Is that right?
Yep.
I guess you kind of answered the question. I was going to ask, how did your early life shape your passion for entrepreneurship? But you mentioned that living in such a small town, you kind of have to make your own job. And that's the spirit of entrepreneurship.
It
in
is.
A lot of ways.
It is, but I think it's in my DNA.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur. Ranching. It's just a different lifestyle, and
Absolutely.
I don't like being bossed around. So there's
Being
that.
your own boss is
Problems with authority.
My boss right now, because I do actually work for a nonprofit now.
Yeah. Oh,
And
congratulations.
yes,
That's
so I work for Western Sustainability Exchange,
Nice.
and we are a nonprofit based out of Livingston. So I go
Okay.
back to my roots, but I work out of my home.
Gotta love that.
I actually just got a new position within the nonprofit, and I'm the supply chain director. And basically what we do is we help ranches improve their grazing, right? Because in order for us to be successful, we got to figure out how to improve our soil, how to improve the health of our livestock, how to improve our own health. And so that is just my whole industry, which is kind of segues into why I started Sego Lily.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's a great opportunity to hop into that video if you don't mind.
Well, yeah, and let's do that, and then I got a question when we come back.
Perfect.
Golden light on your skin tonight, soft as the whisper of a desert sky. No more chemicals, no more lies, just the touch of time rolling by. Oh, you don't need diamonds, you don't need gold, just a little love, let the tallow flow. Glow naturally, let the river run free, feel the earth in every drop, it's all you need. Glow naturally, like the moon on the sea. Sego Lily's got the secret, baby, trust in the breeze. Every scar, every story you hide fades like the wind in a canyon wide. Turn the page, wash away the past, find your beauty, make it last. Oh, you don't need diamonds, you don't need gold,
All right, and we're back with Cynthia here. So
Cynthia's her friend.
Cynthia's online. Hello, Cynthia. I got your Holly. Sorry. Also got to throw a quick shout out to Steve and Bobby out there in the chat as well. So Holly, quick question for you. You were talking about grazing sustainability and stuff like that. And coming from dairy farming background, how much has technology really started to play a big part in that grazing sustainability versus the way that it used to be?
Well, okay, so we did virtual fence. So I would say technology is getting better. I mean, we actually have some like farming has always been progressing, with the self-driving tractors and the GPS and all that. But ranching really has not. I mean, I kind of equate it to screen printing. I mean, literally, there's not a lot of technology that has changed with that industry. I mean, it's just the good old fashioned, and nothing's really changed and no advances really, because it just works. And ranching is a lot the same. That nobody's really thought to do any innovations for us. And so when virtual fence came, because of the industry I'm in, I learned about virtual fence several years ago. And World Wildlife Fund, actually, shout out to them, because they actually are a wildlife organization, but they know that if we don't secure our grasslands in the United States, we're going to lose our wildlife.
Sure.
And so they actually have a ranching program, and they will cost share with ranchers. And so what we did is we did the virtual collars, and we ran 300 yearlings, which would be like 1-year-olds.
Right.
With the collars for a summer.
Okay.
And our reasoning for that is because labor is an issue. So when you go to a tighter graze system, you have to put in a lot of electric fence. And it's not just, they're not permanent. And so you're constantly changing your fences, you're putting new ones in, taking the new old one out to try to increase your grazing into more of a mob, right? And so we did 300 yearlings, and we moved them every 7 days. And they were on anywhere from 82 to 100 acres. And normally, like the old conventional ranching, you'd have those 300 pairs on 1,000 acres, right? And so the idea is if they're in a mob, they're going to eat everything. They can't be picky. They can't be selective. So they're going to trample. They're going to pee, poop, and they're going to eat everything. Whereas in the conventional system, they would be on 1,000-acre pasture, and all they would do is just walk around eating the dessert all the time, right? So your weeds never got ate, and they'd all go to seed, right? So all your undesirables have gone to seed, and that has been that's our problem.
And perfect fertilizer for them as well.
Exactly, and so that's why our way of grazing prior has actually hurt our productivity as ranchers, because we're managing for everything that we don't want instead of what we need. And the cattle and the cattle do better when they're eating everything, not just the dessert.
What? We have to eat our broccoli too.
Darn it.
Yes. I like dessert only.
Well,
Strict ranch moms, eat your dang vegetables too.
No
So it's a very interesting industry.
So for people who don't know, as far as the virtual fence, can you give us just like a quick high-end overview of what that is, what it does?
Yes. So they're actually collars that you put around the cow's neck, and they have a battery and a mechanism in it that talks to a cell tower. And we own the cell tower. It's on our place. It's not like a cellular tower. It's,
Right.
And then you basically program in a computer. So I sit at home and I can move my cows, technically. So I put in the boundaries on the computer. And then we program all that data goes to the tower, which then goes back to all of the cow collars, and it programs their boundary. And the interesting thing is our first move with the 300 yearlings, you could literally see the line where they did not cross. So the grass was really tall on this side and eaten down on the other. And it was just a solid line. So, I mean, it works.
Yeah.
And basically what it is you give them a sound.
Okay.
First,
I was curious about the mechanism.
Yep.
So it's a lot like a dog training collar.
Yep. And so once they get closer to that boundary, then they get shocked.
Okay.
And
makes
so
sense.
every time you do that, though, it runs the battery out. So this is a technology that obviously needs some work. And there are some that are doing solar now, which to me is going to be way better.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a bit of a safety mechanism too, just in case, you don't sit there and constantly shock them and shock them and shock them. So yeah, I could see that for sure. So, I mean, essentially what you're doing is moving pastures electronically, and you're just saying, hey, you go to this pasture, that pasture, all within the same area. But instead of blocking it off with the electric fence that normally would have gave them a shock if they got too close, it's just a collar that they're wearing.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
we moved 9 pastures on a 640 acre paddock. We moved them 8 times individually. Whereas before they would all just be out on that 640, just eating it. Right. Yeah. And we would go out and move them because it's kind of a tricky thing. You have to give yourself like 45 minutes. So we shut the time off on the computer. We run out. We just kind of slowly move them to where you assume the boundaries are from the,
Okay, so you
computer.
Still physically move them.
Yep. So we do
Okay,
you
just
can
curious.
like ladder it so that you can keep your virtual fence moving so the cows keep moving away.
Sure,
Right.
that makes sense.
But we would go out there because you got to check your cows anyway.
Yeah,
Make sure everybody's
absolutely.
okay. And so we would move them. And then after 45 minutes, then I had programmed in the computer where the virtual gate would shut.
That's
so
cool.
Then they would be locked in.
Okay.
Oh.
Awesome. That's some great technology. And I'm sure that's
So interesting.
also thanks for the knowledge on the wildlife fund cost sharing, because I'm sure there's a lot of farmers and ranchers out there who might want to get into this technology, but I'm sure it's not cheap.
If you pencil it out, it does not pencil.
Okay.
So you need some kind of assistance. Yep.
Bobby Coleman in the chat asking they move without hesitation. I think she was kind of getting along the same stuff as us. So they do move them or slowly move the boundaries. And yeah, they do. I don't know if you guys have ever had a dog with a similar system, but they respect the boundary.
Yeah, they've got the radio towers that you can have inside the house, and the dogs can only go so far before the same thing happens to them. So I imagine it's much more beefed up version of that.
Making some tough-necked cows.
I'm sure the beeping is all that's necessary.
It's a pretty necklace.
Yeah.
And I'm certain that the beeping is enough. Animals are smart.
Yeah, they are.
You have some.
Some.
We call them our problem children.
Oh yes,
There were
like
about
number
20 that where you just never kept in, and you just let them go because it's not that big of a deal.
number 3.
Yeah.
Stay close.
Well, and
Stay close.
they're the ones that'll roll under a barbed wire fence too.
Exactly.
That's number 3, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Oh man.
Is that the one that kicked you in the chest?
No, that was her child.
Okay.
Yeah, it was her child. But anyway, my parents own a very small cattle farm, and one year I squared up against a calf. He was a little heavier than the rest. He kicked me in the chest.
Yeah, that happens.
Yep.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, they don't come in pink.
Mm.
Just a boring gray.
Well,
Yeah.
Maybe decoration. Maybe
A little bit,
color
little
decoration.
rattle
Etsy
can.
is the
I think
future.
we're good to go.
I can see it. I can see it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe you could auction it off. I mean, for each sort of like the bighorn sheep and stuff they have. Just do the auction collars.
There you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Adopt a
Yaka cow.
cow.
No, you're good. So, do you want to tell us more about your creams, your butters?
We
your-
just talked about
Yeah, of course. That's the most important part.
I know. Get back
Yes.
to what it's
Thanks,
really about
Nucky.
here.
She's
Yeah.
definitely the reel it in
And
lady.
video
We
that
appreciate
we
you.
It's like, look, you stoners,
So-
get back to it.
Yeah, what is that all about?
So this industry that I'm in, it really does change your mindset, right?
Mm.
And you start thinking, wow, maybe I shouldn't be eating that. Or dang, I'm putting that on my body and it's just soaking right into my bloodstream, right?
Yeah.
So I had actually been on a very expensive synthetic facial cream
Mhm.
because I'm not, I'm middle-aged. And so I had started doing this like 10 years ago thinking, I got to start now and, it's got to be working because it's so expensive.
Believe it or
And-
not, I used to work for Hello Bonafide, so I know exactly the kind of stuff you're talking about.
Oh, well, mine was Beyonce.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar stuff.
Yep. And so honestly, I just started thinking that I don't want to put chemicals on my body anymore. And it's anti-aging cream. Can you really tell? Like, it's such a fallacy, right? That whole industry is so ridiculous because unless you take a before picture,
Mhm.
and then take an after picture, you really have no idea if it's working. And so I had not taken that before picture when I started on the synthetic. So when I found tallow, I literally just did an internet search to natural skincare, and tallow came up, and I ordered it from a gal in Texas, actually. And took a before picture, not to share to the world, but for my own personal experience, because I actually was thinking, well, this can't be this easy, so I'm going to prove it wrong.
Right.
And
cool.
I started using it every day.
Started off as a skeptic.
Yeah, I started out as a skeptic.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yep. And so 6 months later, I kind of just forgot. I'd just been, using it. And my husband said, dang, I think your skin looks a lot better. And I'm like, really? I just kind of forgot about it. So I went in there, and unlike the other after pictures that you see on TV, I was like, okay, taking a selfie, trying to get my neck the same position that I did my first one, make sure the lighting is good, so it's like literally apples to apples comparison.
Wow. Okay.
And the picture that you saw in the video was my before and after.
Wow.
And to me, it was ridiculous. Like, I was horrified that I looked like that before. Yeah, because it was dulling my skin. My skin was very dull. I feel like I had a lot more age spots, and of course my wrinkles were a lot worse. But here's the problem. My husband said, I love it that it's making you feel better about yourself and look better, but dang, you smell like a butcher.
Fair enough. I mean, that's valid feedback, I guess.
It might be
For the
appealing
people-
to some people.
For the people out there, what is tallow?
Good question. So tallow, not to gross you out, but it shouldn't, it shouldn't gross you out, because you actually brush your teeth with a cattle byproduct, right? I mean, everything we have is animal jello, exactly. So tallow, the best tallow is kidney fat off of an animal, off
Now
of a
that's
beef
trade
or a
secret.
buffalo. It is.
Nice.
Most people know that. There's trim fat, and that's where your sausage is made, or your steaks get the flavor, but that is not the best fat. So the reason why it's the kidneys is obviously the kidney is a filter system in our body, and so all those vitamins that make it to your kidney then obviously are absorbed out into the body or somehow. I'm not a scientist, but that big piece of fat is very full of vitamin E, K, A, a ton of them, and omega-6s and omega-3s. So it's very nutrient dense.
Okay.
And so that is what tallow is.
Okay.
And, you think back, Native Americans used it forever. That's,
I mean, nothing
they
like
used it
this.
for their cooking, skincare, wound care, because it's an antibacterial and antibiotic, basically naturally.
Okay.
And
So
it's
it
still
works
used
really, really
primarily
good for
like in a lot of European countries, Asia, African countries. I mean, tallow is pretty much sort of a normal staple. We're a bit weird in
We
our
are weird.
vegetable oils and stuff like that.
I was just saying, it sounds very similar to coconut oil in a lot of ways. Antibacterial, antimicrobial
But
oil.
way better.
Yeah, sounds like it. It
Lot
does sound
more-
like it. It sounds like it to me.
vitamins.
No, seriously,
Yeah.
because I'm actually curious. You brought some samples, right?
Yeah.
So what is the consistency of tallow like? Because
Well, it's great for like hair treatments and stuff as well, right?
oh really? Because
So
I'll tell you what.
honestly, tell me if you smell meat in that.
Mm-mm.
We're needing some hair care in our home at the moment.
So honestly,
My scalp is bad.
so I am working on shampoo. I have deodorant.
Ooh,
I
that's
just
cool.
I just launched deodorant. So
All right.
same thing,
I
no
can-
antibiotic,
I'll
no
try it.
I'll catch some of
aluminum,
that.
no. Now that's honey cream. That's actually one of my top sellers.
That's really cool.
And so basically what I did is when my husband told me that I smelled, I was like, all right, I'm an empty nester. I got nothing to do. And I have a whole basement with like a full kitchen downstairs in this house that I don't even, it's stupid. But anyways, so that became my laboratory. And I started experimenting with scents and essential oils and other oils. And what I feel like the difference is with mine is I do not use essential oils. And I think the problem with some essential oils, I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of them have alcohol in it.
Yeah.
And so you rub that tallow on your skin, and if it has essential oils in it, and then before you know it, I mean, it smells great when you put it on, but that alcohol actually dissipates the scent, and then you're left with the tallow.
Uh-huh.
And so there's a lot of ways to prevent that. And rendering is one of it. Well, so you can't just render it once, but you don't want to render it 10 times either, because then you're just taking all the good vitamins out, right?
So can I throw out a quick disclaimer here that may be needed?
Yeah.
If people are using these products in Montana, keep in mind we're in bear country. Don't lather them up before you go on a hike. You know, you might want to
get home.
Might want to wait until you get home.
Do your self-care at home after.
We should talk
It
to
smells so good.
so tallow is a form of fat, right? I
Yeah.
wonder, this obviously is this is a face cream. Can it be used on your hands?
So I use it every morning. I get out of the shower, especially in the wintertime. I don't in the summertime, but man, my legs get so dry. So I tallow my whole body.
Okay, so tallow it up.
Tallow it up. And the cool thing is it literally is really, really good for like really severely dry skin, eczema, psoriasis,
Ooh,
acne.
try a little
I mean,
on Luna's.
some people can't do it because so there's everybody thinks because it's fat, it clogs your pores.
Sure.
It does not clog your pores. It actually, the chemicals or the biological makeup of tallow very much mirrors our skin, which is why it is so effective. So you're not putting something foreign on your body. It literally is like, hey, that's me.
Well, and not only that, but it doesn't leave a super heavy residue on your hand.
And that's the other fallacy. Yes.
And so like most lotions leave like that oily greasy,
slick.
just
Oily
heavy
or just
feeling.
even watery.
Or even just
Yeah.
or even just a watery kind of heavy feeling on your hands.
That's why I wanted
But
to
this feels
touch
very
it. Yeah.
This feels very very
It's
soft,
great.
very
And it
mellow.
smells
So a little
so good.
goes a long
so good.
ways. But another example of why I feel like you should have this in your medicine chest, it's just great, because last year we didn't have mosquitoes until like late August, and then we just got hammered with them. And I went out one night and I get like welts, and I could not sleep. I itched so bad.
Yes.
And I laid there and fought it for 2 hours. And then I'm like, wonder if tallow would work on this. And literally I put tallow on it and went to bed. And 10 minutes later, I was not itching. I could fall asleep. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of this 2 hours ago? So it is so good. Burns, a coworker of mine spilled hot water on her thigh, and I sent her just the unscented because I didn't want any kind of scent or anything to hurt that.
Yeah.
And she put that on it, and she was absolutely floored how fast it healed.
That's amazing. That's super cool.
Yeah.
In the plant realm, I guess the coconut oil is usually what we've just been using. So I could only imagine with that.
Yeah, but coconut oil is so oily.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to test this, because for me, I prefer that texture. I could rub that on my
The
hands.
balmy
I don't want to
texture
be
instead of
rubbing
oily
coconut oil all
texture.
over my face and hands and walking around.
Yeah.
So this
actually,
isn't.
true
Oh,
test.
sorry.
How do your guys' hands feel? Your rough work hands? Do they feel good?
They feel good. Yeah. And honestly, it doesn't feel like oily or greasy like you were talking about with lotions. One of the things I hate is like putting on lotions and then you feel like anything you grab is going to stick to your hands and you're just going to wind up with. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this, I feel like it's pretty good. So
You can tell
Props
when
to you.
you've used too much, honestly, because I mean it does. You feel like you're like what's the Soul Glow on Coming to America?
you got it dripping down the couch in the back.
It's not that bad, but you know what I mean. I mean, you can tell.
Great
like,
description.
when you get in your hot car and you put your elbow on your thing, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's a,
Flipping around and flipping
Yeah.
aside.
So I always say, if you're gonna, especially if women with makeup, if they want to put it on after they shower but before their makeup, put it on and wait like a half hour so it absorbs into your skin, and then put your makeup on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say right now, at this point, it's mostly absorbed into my skin. but my skin feels soft.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's not just tallow. So the majority is tallow. And that was my other thing is I think a lot of people take a lot of that tallow out of it and put other oils in. So the only reason why I use other oils is because it's a better user experience, honestly.
Sure.
So, but like my line wherever I go is tallow is doing the work. The argan oil that I use, which is all my oils are organic. They're all USDA certified organic, and my plant-based fragrances are all natural. So it's an all natural product. There's no chemicals in it. But like argan is great for skin elasticity. But I always and it is in I have 3 lines. I have ageless, renewal, and moxie. Ageless obviously is aging, so that's got like argan and hibiscus oils. Both of those oils are super good for skin elasticity, age spots, tightening your skin. And then renewal has jojoba and Kalahari melon. And actually Kalahari melon is lower on the pore clogging scale than jojoba. So I actually end up using more of that. But those oils are only in there to make it a better experience, right?
Okay.
And then my moxie is for really severely dry. And so the 2 oils that I use in there are for like psoriasis, severely dry, burns, scarring, whatever.
Okay.
But really, I always tell people if you like the scent, just take it because it's like I said, it's the tallow that's doing it. And the oils, you could go either way on them.
Right.
But
Sure.
yeah, you
Absolutely.
can- any of them on your face or hands, whatever.
That's really cool.
But they really make your tattoos pop out.
I was kind of thinking too, kind of rocking back into cannabis a little bit. Tallow is fat. I mean,
Yeah.
why aren't we putting THC in this and putting it on the shelves?
Well, I agree 100%. We've got all kinds of products out there, and I would love to sit down and talk with you about, combining the two and
yeah,
maybe making a
that'd be fun.
special brand. And so I think it would go a long way. A lot of our customers, especially out in our Shepherd store, the old farm ranch community out here in Shepherd, out in, Miles City, that area. So the CBD creams, the pain creams and stuff like that go a long way. And I think there's a great market for it for sure.
Yeah, and we don't have any tallow-based ones, I'll tell you that.
Well, like we think
Or
like
anything.
arthritis,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you're lubricating, moisturizing your skin while you're actually getting pain relief.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
I've got
we
a few places
definitely-
that could use that.
Yeah, I know, right?
and we definitely have people that are looking because it seems to be that the most common like smell that they're using for all of the CBD and THC balms and stuff is always going to be like a menthol base.
True.
Yeah.
And we have people that definitely want something other than menthol and to smell like a peppermint stick.
Exactly.
Non-tiger balm or, icy hot smell.
Yeah,
Yes.
they
Feel like
smell
you're
like
gonna
an icy
burn
hot.
Right.
your eye touching your nose or something. Yeah.
It burns.
Don't get too close. Yeah.
Why are you crying?
Well, that sounds amazing. Speaking of amazing, I think
Uh-oh.
it's time for one of my amazing transitions.
Bobby, you really
That was
I think we should head right on into that strain. Let's start with that video, give ourselves a few minutes, and we'll be right back.
smooth as chunky peanut butter.
Oh yes. Hey, future us for one time card clap, and also if this is Blackberry Kush, and we'll be right back after this.
Late night moonlight rolling up slow, deep purple clouds in the embers glow, berry so sweet with a diesel haze, taking me higher in a purple daze, smooth on the inhale, body so light, waves of relief, yeah, I'm feeling right. Let the stress fade, let the pain unwind, drifting away, leaving troubles behind. Blackberry Kush, take me away, floating on dreams, I'm lost in the haze. Heavy on the lids, but my soul still flies, fade into black under indigo skies. Earthy and sweet, yeah, the flavor's tight. cannabis bliss. Smooth on the inhale, body so light. Waves of relief, yeah, I'm feeling right. Let the stress fade, let the pain unwind. Drifting away, leaving troubles behind. Earthy and sweet, yeah, the flavor's tight. Wrapped in a kush cloud holding me right. Afghani roots with a berry kiss. Indica love, pure cannabis bliss. Smooth on the inhale, push take me away. Floating on dreams, I'm lost in the haze. Heavy on the lids, but my soul still flies. Fade into black under indigo skies. Lights slow, mind high, drifting real slow. Blackberry kush got me lost in the flow.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that video. We got Blueberry Kush, an absolute classic.
Blackberry.
Blackberry. What? Oh.
Time clock. Number two.
What's the difference between blueberry and blackberry? Can someone please explain this to me? Anyway, we'll move on from that. Hannah.
One's blue, one's black.
Yeah. Hannah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. They're like your daughter's favorite fruit.
I know.
Or berry, I should
actually,
say.
good point. Okay, I've realized now.
Blackberries Anyway.
Blackberries are delicious. Blueberries are gross.
Yes.
Whoa! You got
too.
that backwards.
Nope.
Whoa, all right. What do you guys think?
Okay.
Anyway,
Does
Blackberry
pineapple
Kush.
belong on pizza?
Yes, it does. Anyway, Blackberry Kush, though, also known as BBK, is an indica dominant hybrid made by crossing Afghani with blackberry. Produces relaxing
Old school.
effects recommended for pain management thanks to its strong body eye effects. Also given birth to blackberry moon rocks. Comes from that bad boy. Black cherry pie. Getting a lot of caryophyllene,
We need that
myrcene.
plant.
The
I
blue,
think so.
I mean,
black
if it
cherry
gives
pie.
birth to blackberry moon rocks, I mean, Christmas, like,
just you don't even have to dip.
I just
them.
want to watch
right off
that
the plant.
happen.
That'd be pretty interesting. I wonder if it's like an overnight thing and they just show up the next day.
Talk
or
about new age ranching. Check this out. My blackberry kush just got pregnant.
they get birth. I'm all in.
It does
yeah.
It says that for the growing information, it's a shorter strain, only a 7 to 9 week. You can have strains that go from 7 weeks. There are some legendary sativas that I've heard of where people are like, it's at 15 weeks and it won't stop growing. Please help me. So, we hope we don't end up with one of those. But anyway, Blackberry Kush at 7 weeks would be an amazing grow. 7 weeks is so fast, and it's almost uncomfortable when a plant is finished that fast. You're like, is it really done already?
Wait,
Holy.
What happened?
Yeah, exactly.
You were just a baby a minute ago.
It's a great surprise too, especially after dealing with sativas. If you have like a rotating garden or something, you're dealing with a 15-week plant, all of a sudden something's done in 7 weeks. You're just like, wait a minute, what did we do wrong?
Yeah. Oops, that one's going to end up with a little bit of extra heavy metals in the trichomes, if you know what I mean. Accidentally chopped it a little late. Anyway,
got that caryophyllene, looks like.
Yeah. What are the exactly. What are the terps in the profile here? We got caryophyllene, limonene, and myrcene. So you got that berry and pepper combo that really probably brings out the blackberry flavor in it. And then of course that myrcene herbal oaky wood flavor. Classic to a lot of weeds. Oaky, aka poop.
Gonna give you a little bit of relaxation.
Yes, sir. That's a good strain. That is a good strain.
Has anyone tried Blackberry Kush? I have not.
I've had a lot of Kush strains. I can't, recall that I had blackberry in particular. So I'm gonna say no.
Has that been in the Billings area?
I was
Don't
going to say
know.
I can't say that I've seen that one in the shops I've been in.
How about anybody in the chat? You got any blackberry Kush out there? Any experience?
on top of that, what's everybody enjoying this evening?
What you smoking on?
What are you guys smoking on?
Also, please send us pictures of your plants. We haven't gotten any, and I would really like to see some.
Yeah, share it on our page too.
Show us
On
your
the
girls.
406 Budcast. We like to talk about that. I know that we've got that. We've got multiple groups popping up all over Montana for the home growers. I mean, I think there are 3 or 4 different home grower groups with several thousand people in it at this point. It's pretty incredible,
Nice.
actually.
Yeah, it's good. And I hope there's a lot of good knowledge being shared out there. I mean, the evolution of the plant and the evolution of cannabis is exciting to see compared to where it was, when we first started in 2006, and just trying to scrape out any existence anywhere that anybody would allow us. At that time, no businesses would work with you. You couldn't get an electrician to call you back. I mean, the minute they found out cannabis, they didn't want to rent to you or lease to you. So finding properties was pretty hellacious. And then fighting all the legislative battles we had to fight. So just to see all this conglomeracy behind the community is just awesome.
I'm excited to talk later about the current legislative session, but we'll cover that in News with Nate. So
knuckleheads.
Ooh, Bobby Coleman over there commented that she is smoking on some white truffle from over at Mountain Organics. We did a bunch of clones today of that white truffle. Absolutely gorgeous.
Oh gosh, love to see those dark leaves.
Enjoy, Bobby, and we always appreciate everything that everybody over at Mountain Organics is doing, especially Mo Treats. Appreciate all the gummies and stuff they got. Great time. Hopefully soon we'll be able to work with Holly and maybe get some of her tallow products and put them together and get them out there to everybody in the cannabis world.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Holly, we kind of talked about this a little bit before the show. What's your personal weed experience? I know that you kind of wanted to bring it up, and I mentioned that, believe it or not, it's actually come up on our show before. So let's talk about it.
What, we got stoners on the show?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
What works for you? What do you love about weed, if you do?
Okay, so precursor. I tried my first joint when I was 8 years old.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because my mother was a free spirit, and
Old school.
I sat in a lot of circles where, they, got rid of the seeds. I mean, I watched them do that, the bong. I mean, so that was like my childhood.
That is old school.
But honestly, she gave it to me when I was 8, and I coughed so bad, like I never wanted to smoke cigarettes again. I didn't like so I literally from that day swore off marijuana.
Yep. Until
just recently, because not that my face shows it because it's so much younger now looking, just kidding, but it's that middle-aged woman thing. And one of the symptoms is that you cannot sleep. And I have battled it for a year, and I've been on gabapentin, which is a synthetic, right? It's an antibiotic or a drug, not an antibiotic, but
narcotic.
Yeah. And literally, I felt like a druggie because I had used my prescription in 7 months, and so when I called to get more, because I was like, I gotta sleep. They're like, yeah, sorry, we can't give this to you. And so I was like beside myself, and my husband said, why don't you try marijuana? And I was like, I don't know if I want to.
Shout out to all the husbands out there. Anyway.
So I got the gummies, and the guy's like, take a half, because you never know how you're going to react to it.
Yep. Everyone's smart.
Nothing. And so I did a whole nothing. And so I thought, well, I got to do something, because I'll go through these bottles in a week, right? And that's a lot of money to try to sleep on. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So I went back, and they gave me the syringe. I don't even know
RSO for sure.
Oh my gosh.
So I do my little rice. Yeah.
Yep.
See, so everyone processes edibles differently, and from what I understand, like 10% of the population, who knows, I'm making we just don't process the edible into the more potent format that everyone else does, and so you have to take a much larger dose than everyone else.
Well, and I think it's the uptake method as well, depending on how it's made. So sugar base versus fat base. So cannabis is more fat soluble than it is any other type of soluble point, and that's actually how we store it, is in our fat cells. So I think the RSO has the more full spectrum, and so it has the ability of your body to pull it in so many other different ways. Whereas if you've had too much sugar, sometimes your body says, you know what, you've had a sugar overload, I'm going to dump that naturally, and so it really doesn't absorb much more into your body, and so that goes out into your waste stream.
I gotta say that RSO is amazing, though. I had a hysterectomy end of January, and I did 1 day of the pain meds that they sent home with, and I really did not like the way that they made me feel. Just like a druggie, you know,
Yeah.
just I didn't like them. So I did RSO, and a whole day's dosing 3 times a day. You definitely feel a little slumped down by the end of the day, but it was amazing. It really helped that healing process, and it's helping you sleep too.
And my thing was I could fall asleep, but if I woke up, which I did every night at midnight, it was just clockwork. I could not go back to sleep. And so what this allows me to do is I might wake up, but I will fall back asleep within 15, 20 minutes, whereas before I'd be up for 3 to 4 hours.
Wow.
So
that sounds a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, it has improved
That's awesome.
myself a lot.
Yes, so it turns out sleep is important. I can relate to that very much so. That's just one of the Hannah can account for this, but I used to barely sleep myself, and ever since, it wasn't the main reason I started consuming cannabis again, but it has certainly solved that problem for me. I do not have problems sleeping anymore.
I was pretty large insomniac until I met my wife, but cannabis has definitely helped. And you're talking about, the Rick Simpson oil and stuff like that. In addition to insomnia, it helps so many cancer patients and everything else like that. And at this point, I think, we should look at giving that man a Nobel Prize for one, what he's done for this, but two, allowing wives to sleep so they don't kill their husbands.
Absolutely.
That's true. That is very true.
Everyone is happier when everyone sleeps well.
Exactly.
Happy wife, happy life.
It's prevented World War III worldwide over and over again. So yeah.
It's for real though. It's for real.
The other thing you were talking just a bit ago about the fact that, you were in the circle when you were younger, I know that a lot of people, back of a certain age, that's sort of a common way that they grew up, but I'm starting to see that more normalized now on television. Even we were watching a television show, my wife and I, that had Tim Allen on it, and he was very, very staunch conservative in the show, and his daughter was obviously found gum and it's like, get himself. And she was like, whoa, hold up. This is a 15-year-old kid. What are we talking about here, pal? And it's coming out of your mouth. And he was just like, no, give it to him. Your mom and I tried to keep this from you, and look how you turned out. So
is that
and so
the Tim Allen family show that is
yeah.
Wow, I can't believe that they covered that. I'm gonna have to watch that episode.
Today, but it was also when extreme, because Nate didn't finish it, he ran off, and then I finished the show, and actually, he'd actually taken the gummy, or took 2 of the gummies, and was and they made fun of all the stupid behavior he did and overreacted, blah blah blah, and then the kid never did try them, so it was actually a very good family safe.
That sounds perfect, and like you said, it really reflects the general culture change. Obviously, we're not encouraging that kind of behavior, but it is a general reflection of the population's opinion.
Well, and some of the things he was talking about too is the ability, over in France, obviously it was one of the examples he gave. They, give their kids wine and stuff like that. So they don't really grow up thinking, oh boy, wine's a great thing. They're like, we drink that every day. No big stuff, but they also teach you how to regulate.
Go ahead.
So going back to take the half a gummy, take the whatever, we probably would have less instances of green fever or stuff like that if, there was a little more hey, this is the way you do it responsibly.
Education? What?
No. That works.
Speaking of some
education.
Oh
Should we
my
should
goodness.
we jump into some stoner trivia?
I can't wait to get just destroyed.
Hey, did you see how smooth that segue was?
It was a lot smoother than
Like a rockstar, feeling so high. We talk about cannabis and getting fly. Are you smarter than a stoner? Let's find out. Listen up,
B, the
my
plant's
friends.
flavor
I
and
got
aroma
something to
compounds.
shout. Cannabis
C, the plant's
knowledge,
fibers.
let it flow through your mind. Getting blazed, smoking loud. We all unwind. Trivia questions, can you keep up the pace? Let's see if you're sharper in this smoky haze.
All of them. I am ready.
Oh,
Welcome
we're
back, folks.
Yeah. Excellent.
You nailed it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Nailed it.
You titled the blooper and everything. Anyway.
Oh well, welcome back, folks, to Are You Smarter Than a Stoner? I think I took it pretty easy on you guys this week.
Oh, thank goodness.
Mr. Burns.
Oh, thank goodness.
Mr. Burns
What's
is
up, Mr.
here.
What's up,
Burns?
Mr. Burns?
Always nice to see you back. Sorry we missed last week. I missed
Release
you.
the hounds.
Indeed.
Speaking of gummies, Cynthia said she's crushing some gummies this evening.
Heck yeah. See you in the morning.
I'm really curious about those 500 milligram drinks.
I know, man. She was telling us. So we have the 100 milligram limits and the tiny gummies and all that. And that's why you have to take RSO. In New York, they make 500 milligram gummies, just way bigger stuff. Like
They're
we talked about it last week. The legislation is putting a lot of limits on this industry in silly ways that are not how it is anywhere
And we'll
else.
talk a little more about that later.
Oh,
And they're
exciting.
still trying.
All right. I'm excited.
Interesting.
Are we ready to stoner it
Yes. Stoner questions. Number 1. What is the main reason why certain cannabis strains produce a couch lock effect?
Heavy metals.
I just instantly love one of the answers so much.
A. High levels of THC combined with low CBD content. B. Increased limonene and pionine concentration. C. The presence of myrcene, which enhances the sedative effects of THC. Or D. Low terpene content leading to a lack of stimulation.
Just gonna go out on a limb here.
Yeah. So you have to guess too.
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't know, it's
You
okay.
can go standard test guessing.
And you can do
can
like
cheat, too.
you can do like half
Yep.
the people out in the chat. Just wait until we mention something,
Yeah, exactly.
or wait until
Calvin on tonight. Calvin, what are you answering?
Calvin has not mentioned anything if he's on. So.
He usually pops in for stoner trivia.
Yeah.
Bobby
Yeah.
Coleman's guessing A.
we got A out there.
I'm going with
People are lurking tonight. They're lazy chatters. They don't want to chat.
I'm hitting the
Oh, there we
C.
go.
I'm hitting
Best
C.
copy now.
but I'm
Cynthia.
gonna see.
A. High levels of THC, low CBD. I'm gonna go with C also. I think,
I'm going with C just because of the wording.
I
I'm
think
going for C because it was the longest answer. And in school, that, typically that would be a right
very
answer,
smart.
right?
The wordiest.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
Wordiest.
for sure.
You-
So that's why I want to C.
You're a UM grad. MSU grad. Sorry, MSU grad. So
Oh yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, Freudian slip, exactly. Hannah. Oh, that's great.
I'm a cat.
All right, Tanaki, let's figure it out.
The correct answer for number 1 is C.
That's right. We knew it.
I just went
All
with sedative effect.
Yeah, you actually said it about 15 minutes ago that the myrcene was good for relaxation. So
Hey, we even talked about it.
yes, we
We
did.
did.
Number 2. What is a defining characteristic or effect of strains with high levels of caryophyllene? A. They interact directly with CB2 receptors, providing anti-inflammatory effects. B. They increase the Did I say something wrong?
No, you're good. Just keep going.
B. They increase the euphoric effects of THC by enhancing dopamine release. C. They produce a citrusy aroma that is often mistaken for limonene. Or D. They accelerate cannabinoid degradation.
Weed
Degradation.
words.
Degradation.
Reducing long-term potency. Now, what's got you all giggly?
There's a spider that just went right across the wall right behind your head.
Oh,
Sorry.
all right.
It's just,
It's one of those
Hannah
things
being
you'd rather
Hannah,
not
don't
know.
worry. yeah.
We live in the country.
Yes.
I know. It makes me not excited to clean my basement. Anyway.
Wow. Can you imagine? That's how big they are after only 1 week.
Man,
Anyway, sorry.
we're in for it.
I'm going to go. My guess is D. Because, and I'm going to back this a little bit because I'm very unsure on my answer. But I believe I've read a study in the past that mentions something about caryophyllene. Not necessarily, like it works in tandem with THC, but it does have some anti-THC properties. I'm wondering if that is what it is. Oh no, I think the way that question, I'm going to change my answer because I'm now reading that answer as it saying it degrades the potency on the bud itself.
I'm going with A.
I'm gonna go with B.
Damn. I'm sticking with the.
What you got in the chat, everybody?
No clue.
No clue.
No clue.
I'm guessing with B. I'm guessing.
B. Bobby says B. Cynthia says
Are you
A.
laughing at me? I hate spiders. We have seen this many times folded in this show. No.
The correct answer to number 2 is A.
Well, not even close.
Wow. It's
Not
on
even-
our sheet. It's on our sheet. It's caryophyllene, the pepper. I always think like actual food peppers usually are good for anti-inflammatory stuff like that. So
Smart.
I never made that connection.
Yeah.
Good point. I suppose terpenes are in all plants.
Yes.
Or not all terpenes, but some.
Terpenes are present in a lot of plants.
Yeah, botanical terpenes are pretty popular. They infuse them into the cannabis products as well.
Yep. You go ahead, Tanaki. We're just
number
rambling at this
3.
point.
What distinguishes Durban poison from other pure sativa strains? A. Its exceptionally high CBD content for a sativa. B. Its unique terpene profile, which includes large amounts of terpenoline. C. Its pure Afghani lineage, despite being classified as a sativa. Or D. Its short flowering cycle of less than 6 weeks.
Hmm.
I'm guessing with B.
B was my guess too.
Yep.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and
Fair.
say D.
Thanks, Bobby.
B. B. Glorious B.
B?
It is also the longest answer.
Beep, beep,
It
beep,
is.
beep,
That's
beep,
what
So-
we did again.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. All right.
Nice.
What did they
Nice.
talk-
B is the correct answer.
Yeah. That's interesting. Terpenoline is actually one that I have not seen a ton of, although usually our lavender tests pretty high in terpenoline,
Yeah.
actually.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's not a
interesting.
very common one you see
No,
or hear about.
He's going up behind the picture. He's
I
gone now.
know.
He's gone now.
now. Oh, thank God. Chicken. I am a chicken. Oh. Kill me before I see a spider.
Number
Wrong state.
I do. It's the worst.
Well, at least we
I
don't
really
live in
want to go to
I'm just gonna
Australia,
go out
but I won't.
on a limb on this one.
I know, this one. What if it's a trick question?
I agree.
Early skunk.
What if it's a trick question the question giver asks? All right.
Number 4.
Is it?
Which strain is famous for its unique cheese aroma due to its terpene combination?
Hmm.
A. Blue cheese. B. Lemon haze. C. Motor breath. Or D. Early skunk.
That sounds like a horrible strain.
Early skunk.
Yeah.
Early skunk. just
Like
just
early
the
in the
baby
morning,
version or like
the
what?
baby?
Is this a trick question?
I don't know. Is it?
She,
Tanaki has her way, and I don't know either.
It's like surprise, none of the above.
what are the main terpenes? Okay,
Yeah,
so
bonus.
I've actually
Bonus if
never
you can
known the
name some of the
cheese
terpenes in the cheese strains.
I'm gonna guess myrcene, caryophyllene, and limonene.
Wow, the same thing that's in most everything.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with
at
Thanks,
least.
Oh.
I'm gonna go with linalool And I'm going to go with pinene and caryophyllene.
Ooh, all right. I don't know. I'm just curious what gives it the sour.
That's the limonene and the caryophyllene mix, in my opinion. I actually did think it through.
Did you?
I did. We'll see. I could be wrong.
I have no clue. So
Number 4 was not a trick question. It is blue cheese.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
we picked it.
And you guys are pretty dang close for the common or the dominant terpene profile is going to be myrcene, alpha pinene, and beta caryophyllene.
So it's that pinene. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm trying to
So is
imagine
it-
how pepper plus pine tree gets to cheese.
Is
But
that
our
white
senses
boy
are weird,
pepper, though?
right? Our senses are weird.
because it's beta pepper.
Bobby's calling it the poopy turd, so you know.
The poopy
The
turd.
poopy turd.
Indeed.
Oaky
Okay.
flavor.
The oaky flavor.
See, I feel like my questions were all pretty easy this
Those were
week.
Those
Yeah,
good
those were great
questions. Those good
questions, for sure.
questions.
Good.
Well, geez, we're already over an hour. May as well jump. Let's just go right on into that news with Nate. It'll go as soon as we're not ready.
All right, well, we're just going to jump
Yeah.
into it.
Oh well.
We're going to skip all the ceremony.
Let's go. Every story makes you glow. Stay informed, don't be late. Cannabis news with Nate.
All right, folks. It's News with Nate. Yep, and I'm Nate.
Mhm.
So quickly, we were talking about it earlier. You sort of segued into it. What's going on with the Montana legislative session? Good majority of the bills have been killed. I think there was around 48 bills or legislative bill drafts that were requested that had to do with marijuana or cannabis. About 15 of those were actually in play at any one point in time. I think we're down to about 5 that are really have any weight to them. Senate Bill 27, obviously going to become law of the land. We're going to sort of be locked in place with the amount of dispensaries, grow operations, everything we have currently in Montana. Going to be no further expansion. I think at this point, that bill is solidly going to head to the governor's desk. So we need to be expecting that to come down the pipe. The ones that are still moving their way through that play a little bit to us, though, is House Bill 688 and House Bill 698.
Mhm.
Both these are by Bill Mercer. And what they do is, at first, it looks like they're just adding some ballot language. So if the government says, hey, we want to vote on this again, this is what the ballot language needs to state. So that everybody understands some basic form ballot language, which isn't that bad of a deal. But when you get down to the actual meat of it, it also takes away the ability of the citizens on a large level of this. And so in some of these counties and stuff like that, where the citizens voted by an overwhelming majority to approve cannabis, it now allows the city municipality or the city county government to go ahead and vote as a majority of the government to place this back on the ballot, try to kick it back off. So, I mean, you're looking at a situation where you have a citizens initiative that puts these cannabis bills forward. Then all of a sudden you get the legislature trying to dial back what the citizens pushed in and try to give it back over to government. There's a lot of argument coming from both sides. You know, big government shouldn't be involved in this. Some people say that this might make it easier for some of these municipalities that are red to turn green. I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but it's something that we should pay attention to. The one major one, though, is Senate Bill 636. This one is the bill, looks pretty benign overall, but it actually goes to the edibles, goes to the creams, goes to your Rick Simpson oil, stuff like that. It basically says that you can only have 100 milligrams per package, and that the serving sizes cannot be more than 5 milligrams. It used to be, or currently is, 10 milligrams. Now they're saying 5 milligrams per package and no more than 100 milligrams per package. So a lot of places where they have the Rick Simpson oil in a much larger packaging, now you're going to have to buy 2, 3, 4, 5 packages. We saw this with the carts.
And they're not changing the daily limit. So you can still buy the total quantity the same. It's just going to cause more packaging material waste, more
label material,
more waste.
Just bureaucracy crap.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that just the edibles or is that creams and the
It seems like it's for edible products mainly, but the language is a little bit ambiguous, and so they might be able to go ahead and apply that to topicals and things like that. There was some language as far as the creams only being a maximum, I think, of like 800 milligrams. And then they can only have X amount, I think, a percentage-wise of THC inside the topical. I don't know that they tried to change that language. I think it had more to do with, food and edible packaging.
Okay.
So is it more the serving size then?
Yeah, I mean, and really 10 milligrams versus 5 milligrams, 100, milligrams per package versus 200 milligrams per package. I mean, we're sort of getting into that. Should we have a small can of Coke or should we have a 20-ounce can of Coke? I mean, I think it should be one, up to consumer choice, and two, it's not going to do anything besides.
My question is, go ahead, Tanaki.
The availability and the option is already out there to have those lower percentage edibles, and they don't move well.
Right.
And this is as someone who works the front of desk, works in a dispensary and actively sells edibles every single day. Those lower percent packages, they don't move. People come in and ask for 100 milligram packages of 10 milligram pieces.
Yeah.
That's their regular dose.
Go ahead.
That's just their regular dose, if not a little more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people that take 1.5 or 2 gummies per dose. So cutting it down in half, now they have to eat 4, 5, 6 gummies to get their regular dose, and they have to buy twice as much, and now they have, what's the point?
Yeah, I think overall this bill is brought forward by the same crowd who tried to limit the THC down to 15%. So and it's all sort of the Steve Zabawa crowd. They're all sitting there trying to chip away and get some sort of prohibition measures in that just slowly erode at what we have as a cannabis law. Most of the people out there, I think, who are using edibles, who are just now coming back using it for sleep, like Holly here, I mean, they really understand that we're going to try off with a half, we're going to try off with 2, maybe 3. Limiting that to 5 milligrams versus 10 milligrams really isn't going to change the dynamic very much at all. And I don't think that you're going to see a whole lot come out of this that's productive. So I think, they should just let this bill die and go away. We should probably stick with Senate Bill 27 and get on with our lives. But I think that's also why in Montana we only have a legislative session for 90 days every 2 years, so they can't screw with it too bad.
Right, absolutely. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. Why do they have to do anything about it at all? As far as I know, we'd be one of the only states that would have restrictions that insane on edibles. And we've had multiple guests on our show at this point who scoff at their 100 milligram edible. I have customers come in and they're like, "Oh, what's your edibles look like?" I'm like, "Well, they're 100 milligrams because that's what they have to be by law." And they're like, "Oh, okay,
Well, I can order this 500 milligram, package online and have it delivered straight to my door, and so, I mean, none of these in-state measures are going to really matter to much at all when they can just go to Colorado, they can go to Washington, they can go any place else
online.
Have them. You don't have them mailed in.
You don't have to do any of that. Exactly. You can have any of these products mailed in. So at this point, it's only hurting local business.
Yeah. Well, that segues us to the next portion, which is the United Nations has said that, and I need to get my notes on this one because this is one hell of a word. So HHS, I think is what HHC, excuse me. They just voted to ban HHC and make it a Schedule II drug. So this is one of those synthetic cannabinoids that has been pretty dang popular, been running around the world. And so now the United
HHC.
Yeah. What are they? Hydrocannabinol, I think is what it. So it's one that people have been doing the synthetic products. I think Wild West had some of that going on. And so the United Nations, excuse me, has basically said that, this is now a Schedule II worldwide. The United States actually abstained from that vote and didn't agree to add that. So it's pretty interesting how this is going to play out worldwide, but it seems like the synthetic cannabinoids are something that people are starting to really latch onto.
Say no to.
Yeah.
It's hard for me not to be upset about that. We have a plant that produces the compound that we're looking for. And when we make these alternative synthetics, it usually is asking for trouble and introduces all kinds of extra negatives that we just don't need.
I tend to agree. And I mean, obviously we're talking about a natural tallow product versus a lot of synthetics and stuff that you were using and how it really changed.
Idea. Yeah, absolutely. Just the same idea. That's all.
Most certainly.
Back to the root.
Back to the roots.
Back to the roots.
Back to the roots. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I mean, the legislative session should be coming to an end here soon. Most of the transmittal deadline has already occurred, so most of the bills have been transmitted to the other houses. But beyond that, I think we're stuck with it for another 2 years.
What a hot flurry of activity it has been.
Yeah,
what are we going to talk about now? No, I'm just kidding.
We're going to get back to talking about good stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah. That sounds exciting. Maybe we'll start figuring out. Oh man. Well, we'll probably see a lot of federal policy movement, and hopefully, or maybe there will be some news on that coming soon.
I hope so, but it's already been a couple of months into the congressional session now, and the Cannabis Caucus hasn't even met at this point federally. So there's no movement on any of the Safer Banking Act. There's no movement on the State 2.0 Act. I mean, there's no movement on any of that. It's just sitting there. So I really don't know if the federal government is going to try to punt again for another year. I mean, and at this point, it seems pretty damn ridiculous with this many states and the District of Columbia legalizing everything. But I think another topic that we'll be able to cover quite well is some of those psychedelics that are coming out and being passed around, being accepted quite a bit more than cannabis, actually, which is weird.
It is super weird.
Yeah, it's been such an eye-opener to see that, honestly.
Yep. What was that? I think Denver, Colorado recently repealed their city statute legalizing psilocybin to make way for the state statute that passed that allows psilocybin and other plant-based tryptamines. So
yeah,
that's I was talking to someone else about it, and they said we're essentially where we were with cannabis 10 to 15 years ago, but at a much accelerated rate. And then obviously there are a lot more people who watched the cannabis industry develop. And so we have businesses in Denver, Colorado already starting and saying, hey, we're going to just do it. And when they regulate it, they're going to come to us. So we'll see how that all plays out. But it's going to happen. It's happening. So here we are.
Yeah.
Time to observe, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and learn.
Yes.
Montana's typically a couple of years behind those states with some of our policies and stuff like that. And I think it'll give us a good opportunity to pick and choose what's good, what's bad, and, try to get a balance to it, a lot like that we did with cannabis.
Right. Yep. All things in time, I suppose. All things in time.
Well, speaking of time, I think it's time for us to wrap up.
Hey, nice segue. She's on the segue.
The
train now.
segue.
She's like grabbing she's grinding those gears.
We need to just get a video of Tanaki on a Segway. Just
that's a great idea.
Only if I get a little video.
Oh yeah, we'll get that one figured out. Generative AI, I can get that done in a hurry.
Bike bell. Ting, ting.
Ching ching. Oh yeah.
Okay,
right.
folks. Well, with that, we will be saying good night.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us. Have a great evening.
Have a wonderful
Stay
evening.
lifted.
Peace.
We'll see you next week.